Hello. I'm checking out. I'm waiting for that Twitch. Set up on announcements. We're kinda instant on this. Yo yo. Alright, I'm getting set up for a bit. I think you're good. Oh, okay, cool. Hello, hello everyone. Oh, right, good. So, it's been a long month and a half actually, and we're finally onto the top 8 semifinals. Welcome to the stream. So, speaking of which, right now we're gonna showcase a bunch of things. Mostly the semifinals map pools, a big boost in difficulty, and probably a lot more. But for now, can we open up for the brackets? Showing up, this should be the top 8. So for the players who are currently in the top 8, all of you should have a bit of confidence in it, as you guys will be placed as probably the best of 8 for this whole tournament. Though there were some that were kind of unfortunate and couldn't participate, but throughout it's still a pretty long bracket. And as obvious as it sounds, there's only 2 more rounds left before we can crown a winner. So looking above, there is 2 top seeds, and winner's bracket I mean. On the bottom bracket here, you see the losers. So, be confident that the ones in the winner's bracket still have an extra life to play with. I still have a chance at a crown, while those in the loser's bracket, well, unfortunately, have to go depending on if they lose or not. But without further ado, though, I do believe we'll start off with the. Alright. So, we did check out we did spend a bit of time looking around the map and all, and we basically catered to a lot of interesting ones. So, if you guys want to have a bit more troubling or more interesting map goals, we're gonna have to start now. I believe, for the streamer here, can you start off with Nomad 1? And here we go. So this is Nomad 1. So we did take a bit of take a bit of interesting notes on what we find like challenging and interesting at the same time. So it should be a pretty consistent Nomad 1 as well. But as well, we can't just let all of the players off easy since it is the semifinals. Right off the bat, you guys would know that apart from the last Muzus, right now there should be a pretty interesting increase in difficulty. And throughout the pools, actually it's a pretty large gap difference between like 3.5 to 3.9. But the map itself is doable, even though the star rating is rather high. It is relatively long, and that mainly constitutes the size. And for this KI section, it's pretty consistent, but it's very dense. Okay. This Nomad 1 pick kind of challenges a lot of how well you can do bursts, and probably it's very fun to play. So a few things to note that this song is actually mapped to the drum beat, so it's relatively easy to get a constant rhythm on it. but once again, the very dense patterns of the song tends to a bit challenge some people, especially if they're more used to futsu and early musikashi patterns. I want two sections. So yeah, there are also some interesting one trees, but as much as it seems a lot like a more of an classic anime map. Yeah. So I do have a bit of extra people in the chat here, and they might give some additional information or correct me if I'm wrong with the with the stuff in the map pool, since I think I missed some. I think Nomad 3. I skip on that, so I'm kind of interested in what Nomad 3 is. But that is Nomad 1. Pretty good UR though, 83. Classic mobile maps. But without further ado, let's move on to Nomad 2. And oh, I love this map. So, first question that begs you people, how come does the quarterfinals BPM is 280 and this one is only 250? Well, it's because of that the 280 BPM, that quarterfinals map didn't have any actual dense triples. So this should be the first ever high BPM difficulty that contains these triplets. So first test on how well you guys can hit these kinds of dense patterns. So if you guys were to basically full alt this map instead of single tapping, it would prove some difficulties, as those dense triplets actually count as, I guess, 1/6. And another few things to note, it's another pretty short map. Honestly, feel like this feels like a DP map than anything. It's just lower OD. And here we go, the long spinner. Just to add some extra troubles on that, since the map, it doesn't have that much notes. So, for those who make some mistakes here, you guys are gonna have a bit of difficulty recovering from any kind of damage. But personally, I think that the map is pretty single tappable. I guess if you can alternate one of the harder patterns and single tap the triplets, you can find some creative ways to deal with this map. And the final part is actually pretty difficult. It's a little bit more denser than usual, but wow, interesting 95 UR for Nomad 2. And for those who speed demons, there you go. That's your map. And let's move on to Nomad 3. Probably a few of you know this, as this is a pretty interesting VTuber map. And you already notice at the first part that it's slow, slow, slow. That's mostly the gimmick on this. But I guess the one thing to be interested about is usually most of the SVs for these tend to look a lot like alternatable patterns, but I do think that single tapping these are maybe more consistent, but that is up to the player itself. Wait, I don't know. I just honestly saw the Pekara BG in the background and I called it the VTuber map. Fight me. Fight me. But we're gonna get to chill in some chill tunes and probably rage in some slow patterns. So here, for the one doing the replay, he was actually single tapping the whole map. It's kind of working out. God, this map is slow. I love it. Yeah, this is tend to be kind of a tough pattern at this mono section. As for a tournament that basically relies on accuracy, there is a bit of skill on, or you have to practice at least a bit to hit those super slow patterns. A little bit of playing around. Here we go. This Ki section. Oh boy. Personally, I'm kind of used to these slow patterns due to some other troll maps. For the first time, or for players trying this for the first time, you might get a bit overwhelmed by the amount of notes on the screen. It's definitely a map you have to practice. Thank you, Checky, for teaching me how to do slow SP. But that is no mod 3. Moving on, new mod 4. And I think this has to be my favorite map pool. A map out of the pool, apart from the HDs. Go Ki in the first section, and already these weird snappings will catch some people off guard. Cool ass beats. I just went there, my bad. But yeah, already you can sense from the first part of the map, you guys are gonna have a bit of trouble keeping their accuracy up, as the weird snappings will catch some people off guard. But it will get a bit easier throughout the map. Spiky boy. 2 minutes and 26, so there's a bit of map for guys to get some points on. OD and HP are pretty much okay. I guess the PPM is relatively high. There we go, these triplets, duplets, and for any kind of full alt people here, it's gonna be a bit tough. Bit of a slow section. There you go. Ki tends to be normal. It doesn't have those weird snappings, apart from, I think, the end part. But those duplets might cause a bit of trouble. But I think this should be, out of all, the most techiest of the maps. Just in the chat, actually enjoying the hedgehog in the background. He's chilling in the waves. As here's the final section, as the SV does increase for a bit. And yeah, here's the weird snapping pattern of the map. It's a bit dense, but there are obviously some triplets that kind of cut off, giving off this rather spaced out mapping. And if you lose focus on this, you might actually get some accuracy drops. But it's a good map. I like this map. Damn. I love how all of the nomads are like less than 100 UR. But that's no mod 4, and no mod 5 here. I'm gonna have to see. And oh boy, gimmicks. Already from the start, get those cat gimmicks where you have to read the map itself. It follows through a pretty predictable beat. This kind of song is pretty common throughout. It's such a vibe anyway. But the bar lines. Boy, here we go. Interesting. Invisible bar lines, huh? So, for those first time seeing that pattern, bit of a trick is, if you guys can see the white lines, it actually represents an invisible note. Oh god. More speed ups, the SV. And the SVs. Very good. It's definitely a map you have to practice. But it's a good map. I guess for me, personally, a good trick that you guys can practice on this is probably like vibe the map. Oh boy, that is a tough part. It's gonna take you guys a few more tries at least. I know I'm gonna take a bit of tries mastering this map. That is No Mod 5. Very interesting. I actually really like this map. So, that will be all of the no mods. There won't be any no mod 6 for now. And we're gonna move on with the modded. Starting off with, I believe, HD1, right? We're gonna get Burza. Unfortunately, it is a 1x100. If Finn didn't take mine, it would have been a 2x100. Much like the first one, it should be the same kind of design as Hidden One, where it follows through a pretty interesting beat, where it starts off consistent and then has sections of different snappings apart from the original consistency beat. There we go. So these ones are, I believe, one half. Start at the one half of the mapping. Pretty tough. It usually catches some people off guard. And for the first part, yeah, once again, the map is just mapped pretty consistently, and this should be the easiest part of the map. But usually, what you have to watch out are these kind of bridge sections, where as the beat starts to change on the song itself, the mapping follows through, and here we go. The 1-3 section here. A bit of quadruplets there. This Ki does have a bit of duplets, but personally, you guys have to watch out for this part in particular. Wait, I got after this one. Here we go. This part. Yeah, after the Ki on this is the part before the Ki is interesting. I believe it's kind of skipped, but here it is. Yeah, that weird snapping actually catches a lot of 100s. If you don't follow the beat itself, you might actually get a bit of 100s there. And the 100 on the last part. But that is HD1. And moving on to another HD2. Another 100. We're gonna get Dutch Courage. It starts off pretty fast, as the map itself is pretty high in the BPM for some reason. It's around 200. It does say 198, but come on, round it up. So the thing to note here is that it's pretty dense. So if you guys aren't too focused on this map, you might get overwhelmed by the amount of notes. It gives you some time for resting, but this kind of dense pattern is a little bit tough. Plus, I like the song. These kinds of 8-bit songs are the best. action there. There we go. Yes! I love those. And we got the slow part of this map. There's a reason why it's HD2 and not HD1, friends. A little bit of bass tune. Its speed is pretty doable, and there we saw the 100 faster. So you have to time it well in that part. But that should be the only trick on that map itself. As the rest of the map is pretty consistent. So a bit of practicing on the slow beats should be more than enough. And that is HD2. Unfortunate you are with the 1x100. But overall, good map. And now, for the Hard Rock Lords, we go, HR1. Probably, I don't play HR that much, but I kind of like this map. So, a few things to note. The notes do seem fast on this replay, but if you play the map itself at 60 FPS, it should be a little bit slower. It should be more readable unless you're like watching the stream in source. But the thing to note on this map is, I believe the OD, it's 5.5 and it's not 5. And usually any kind of 0.5 is pretty big. This is literally the window of error. But the map itself is pretty techy. Just a bit. Just a bit. I focus more on consistency than anything. Very monotone patterns. It's a bit techy at first, but it tends to repeat itself a few times before it reaches the key eye. So a little bit of a speed up in the HR department, and interesting beats basing from the song itself. And for once, it's a hefty map. It's pretty okay in terms of length, but apart from the last few HR1s, which were just about TV size, a minute and a half, maybe the 2-minute 42 might be a little bit different in terms of a long-waited HR1 battle. This last part is pretty consistent, but hopefully the players will manage it. And that would be HR1. Good you are. Nice. Very nice.
69.
But let's go. HR2. Since the massive effects of the last HR2 being no tick, we'll just give you an even harder HR2. A whopping 200 BPM and already. I tried this out myself. I was like skimming through the maps, and I was like, hopefully they'll this HR2 is nice. And I tried it out and I was like, oh boy, laser beams. So obviously HR2 will be much more of a reading challenge. The OD is slower, just about 0.5. But in itself is a pretty fast scroll speed. But considering the players that have managed to do some pretty high scroll speed on some of the maps, maybe this HR2 might be more feasible than the last one, as we didn't actually get to see it. A bit of double triplets there. Already halfway through the map. It's 2 minutes apart from, instead of TV size, there's like 30 more seconds. But it is pretty short. And a bit of slider sections. Personally, Score V2 does count sliders as notes, so if you guys miss some slider ticks, it might change the outcome of the match. So be sure to be diligent with those sliders. You can spam your you can spam keys on it and it would register as a hit. Well, this final key section, I believe it goes just a bit faster. There you go. This pattern is super tough, especially at that kind of scroll speed. It's interesting. I like it. So a bit of practice for this map first, it's for the semis. Should be it. So, all of the HRs are done. Hope you guys enjoyed this one this time. We're moving on to DT2, DT1. That should, no, the last one is HR2 for Vera. We're gonna get the Rabby Ribby map. The last map was HR2. First section is pretty quiet. And I don't know if it affects you, but it does affect me a lot, as I can't tend to follow the timing of a song if I can't hear anything in it. But for now, we're gonna get a bit of slow patterns and relatively okay speeds. But it is slow, and this OD once more for DT will be a bit of trouble for those who aren't that much consistent with UR. Actually, we see in this replay, it almost got a 1x100 there. But overall, the map is consistent. Super consistent. A bit of slow section. Rest for the players before we get into the final PI. Yeah, this part where it follows the piano tunes might catch some people off guard, especially with the DTOD. It's usually these kinds of small factors that you guys should not ignore. So, the final key is a bit of a mix of dense and spread out notes. But overall, I believe the map is interesting. That is DT1. Super consistent and super nice with the 125 UR. Alright, that's 123. My bad. But we'll be moving on to DD2. Yes. Did I just believe that any kind of Love Life map is basically a VTuber map without the VTubers? There were so much DD maps of these. But we're gonna get a bit of fast 240 patterns here. So this feels a lot like a No Mod 2, higher OD. So they're dense, they're kind of tough. So for those who are kind of full outing this, you might have some bit of difficulty. Because there are gonna be finishers in this. And you might have to force yourself to single tap 240. And the map is short, super short. Cat section on the end as it follows the drum beats. That should be DT2, a little bit higher you are, but an SS nonetheless. But that will be all of the force mod. We're gonna be moving on to free mod. Now, the 3 free mod maps are fun. Especially more with mods, so we're gonna get the first free mod one here, and we're gonna get Singularity. I love how the streamer opened up storyboards for this, and for those who are gonna enjoy the storyboard, feel free, as this map does have a storyboard. So we're gonna get a bit of dense KIs. It follows a bit of DK. But overall, the map does have these kind of dense sections, and that's pretty much it for the first part. As we get into this long break section, the map gets a bit more tougher, so to say. So we're gonna get this slow part here, and already the snapping is kind of rough on that previous pattern there. There we go. And already storyboard starts to play, and we're gonna get, oh boy, the snapping on this map. So, if you can, HD or HR discs, feel free. But here we go. The KI section is consistent, so that's a bit of relief. I wouldn't want to deal with those weird snappings throughout the whole map. A little bit of finishers on that section there. And the map ends with a bit of a slow ending. That is Pre-Mod 1, Raitoli's Muzukashi. Good map. Pretty interesting to mod, but let's move on to Pre-Mod 2, and we're gonna get Kitty Foil. I almost said the wrong word for it. So, Kitty Foil is a bit of a famous map in different ways, as the map itself is super good. Very consistent and fits a lot of properties for a free mod map. And we're gonna get just that, as we're gonna get a bit of interesting first parts. So the scroll speed itself looks pretty slow here, but with HD and with HR, might have a bit of trouble there. A bit of doublets there, and more, I guess, quadruple patterns, as it more or less matches up the piano section of the map. It is Muzukashi, so it's not that hard. But this Kia section does have a bit of speed up for those playing HR. The speed up might be a little bit too fast for some people. I believe this continues throughout the whole Kiai. And here we go. This section is the tough part for a lot of HD players, as the snappings are kind of hard to manage, as a bit of the SVs have to adjust to a bit more consistent pattern, so you have to follow the beat a lot. So yeah, this latter half of the map has a lot of these weird snappings, so you guys might have to practice this a bit. And another thing to note that this is 3 minutes for a free mod map. So we get a bit of hefty time for 1v1. Final Kiai. So, another thing to note that there will be a bit of sliders here. And once again, Score V2 counts these sliders as notes. Oops, my bad. Counts these sliders as notes. So if you need to hit at least most of the ticks for it to count, and each tick counts to a point, and depending on how well you hit them, you can spam these, by the way, since it's Score V2. Better not skip on those sliders. Yeah, this last section, tough. And free mod 2, easily enough, is just that. A bit tougher than most free mods, but it is a good map. And now we're moving on to probably, yeah, I can't say everyone's favorite, but it is going to be free mod 3. I don't know how to call this map. I usually call it just Lovers. But listen carefully to how the beat goes. The song itself is a mess, like a big mess. So slow sections at first. HD. I love this part. And there we go. As this break section just shows the score, and out of nowhere, you get this nasty speed up. Obviously, in in no mod, it's not as fast. But boy, if you get this section with HR, it might be on a bit of a ride. And another bit of SP difference there. As the Kia section has this pretty interesting speed up for the SV. Once again, a little bit of trouble for the HR players. So it's equally as hard for both mods. And oh boy, the piano. It's mapped into the madness of the piano section. I might actually see some people single tap that. And that is the map. Only 2 minutes, but probably the toughest 2 minutes for an anti-mod map. Yeah, and I believe the replay here is played by my mind. Props to him. But apart from that, that should be all of the map pools, and all that's left is gonna be tiebreaker. And that's what we're gonna be moving on next after this. And unfortunately, another 1x100 there. And you guys can see with the 9996, that is a 1,363 note. And another thing to note is the, oh boy, the tough finisher sections and the big speed up. Alright, like I'm trying to give a bit of explanation, but the map's not giving me any time to say anything. So this will be, I believe, only difficulty. Yeah, a 4.4 rating for the tiebreaker. So for those who haven't practiced only, you better try it out now, as this map is definitely not kind to players who are not used to very dense patterns. And another thing to note, that the mapper is I9. So props to him. We did talk about, and he said that he made this as a custom difficulty just for the tournament. It looks pretty fast, but it's only 168. Or is it 188? I can't really see. Yeah, still props to I9. As he has that ability to make that. Apart from the rest, this is only 4 minutes, so it's not as long as the other tiebreakers, just about 4 minutes and 30. Star rating, OD, and HP are pretty much the same as Muzutashi, so that's going for something, and oh boy, that that dense pattern might be tough. As for people who haven't been practicing those, what do you call those? 5-note patterns? Or is that 6? Or is that 7? I think that's 5. And a bit of finishers, and a lot of SV changes in this map. And a bit of beat changes. Yeah, that's 5 notes. And yeah, this part, super tough. This is where the replay actually got the 1x100. And there's a big reason why. This section's super dense. A lot of single notes, a lot of monotes. If you guys ever had to try out this map, you guys might get a bit bewildered as to how those notes come to it, as a lot of it is a bit of training on your hand coordination. And that ninja finisher right there, it's not ninja, but it is pretty quick. And the game, Scorpio 2 counts finishes with notes, as if you've missed those, it would count as a big miss. And that might spell the map for any player there. We're gonna get into the final slice of the map. We're gonna get the usual patterns that we saw in the first part. There we go. The final section is super dense. So a lot of no rest for this. Another SV change is the last part of the map. And oh boy, I love how this map just does not give you any time to think. It's just, every part of the map has some kind of difference. So it has that. Better practice this. If there's any tiebreakers, a lot of it comes to skill. It's a good map, but that should be all of the map for now. So let's move back to the brackets. So top 8. There should be definitely significantly less reschedules here, as there should be only, well, technically just literally 4 matches for today. I'm not sure though if we're gonna have a loser semis battle. Yep, so we will have loser semis. So there will be 6 matches, and for the reschedules, it should be a little bit more lenient for the players and the watchers of the stream. So take your time to practice the map. It's a little bit tougher than what it is, but this is semifinals, so the difficulty should be a little bit more harder than what you're used to. And a lot of these should be more to how well you can play the map than rather perfecting it. Well, albeit that perfect scores are good. But it's gonna be a bit of a challenge. And so, for now, thanks. That should be mostly the pool. We should be currently updating the links for the downloads and the total map packs for both of the pages. So it should be ready in the Discord server, and for those who want to know or want to try it out, feel free. But for now, that should be the stream. That is also the Semifinals Mappool, and another good week to all of you. So, thank you for watching.